So, this seems like a good time to talk about sex and society. I'm not going to call it sex work because I feel like there's a lot of people who are in sex work who talk about sex work. Like, I'm not a sex worker. I'm also not like Shin Boudry, who's like a sex therapist. Like, I'm just a regular girl, but I pay attention to all of these aspects of society. And also, like, I'm a female in society. So, John Oliver on the show last week tonight has a segment about sex work. And I think that it's probably useful for people who are not familiar with like what sex work is or maybe some of the like general politics around it to just kind of get a general idea. Like virtually, if you earn a living by having sex, you might consider yourself a sex worker. Um, Now this can be like a very broad category because first you have like street level prostitutes who just walk down the streets and then sell pussy or ass or whatever because there's female and male and all the in betweens, right? And there are people who are buying that sex off of those people. So there's that, right? And then there are like something known as like escorts, and there's like levels to that. These are people who have like kind of classified ads, and then sometimes and then they basically like, go to where people are to have sex. So there's that. And then there's like one level beyond that, there's like the higher class escorts. Then you have like strippers, right? And then you have like all the levels of like exotic, erotic dancers, kind of. And then even beyond that, you have like, I don't even know how to say it because now I feel like entertainers and rappers have created a new class. We can call them like Birkin baggers or something. These are like Yo Gotti raps about them. They're girls who go and they have sex for like Birkin bags and hair salons and stuff. Like they're smashing these rappers, and then the rappers will buy them like a hair salon or a Birkin bag or a flight. Um, all these things, like people are just buying. They're trading sex for everything, right? And then there's kind of like, okay, so that's like sex work, right? And then there's people who have jobs. They do something. Just people who have jobs, and then they're kind of like hooking up. So you can think about this like Bumble, Tinder, Coffee Meets Bagel. You might just see someone who's cute and you're like, okay, I just want to smash, right? We'll call it like hookup society. So these aren't really people who are like, they're not sex workers, but they're also not. That's another thing too. This gets really interesting. So there's the people who are hooking up, and I'm gonna call them people, but this is why you have to talk about like purity politics within like the sociology of women, because like for men, they can go around and hook up with whoever they want, and it's just like, oh, this is fine, this is whatever. But for women, if women are out here like hooking up with multiple people, all of a sudden they're like whores and they're this. But using those terms like whore and slut and prostitute, um it kind of conflates stuff because you actually have like whores and prostitutes, right? These are people who are like walking the street and selling pussy for money, but the men are out here calling like average women whores and prostitutes. But there's actual whores and prostitutes. Do you see where I'm getting, where things are starting to get confused? Because like these are, especially in like the Bay Area, you actually have like East 14th Street where there's like actual whores and prostitutes. And then you also have a whole slur of these like Asian massage parlor shops, which are also like prostitution centers. These are like a normal part of society. Like men with jobs are utilizing these aspects of society. And then you have like girls who are like insta facing, right? So they are kind of like posting thirst trap photos of them kind of clothed, kind of naked a little bit. They're like pretty face this, pretty face that. And they are getting like brand sponsorships. So this doesn't really have anything to do with sex. It's more like they're just posting photos to get brand sponsorships. Then there are other women who are just posting photos to host body positivity, where they're just like, I'm happy with my shape, and so I want to post a photo of me just being happy in my shape. That's another thing. But then you also have OnlyFans, which is now like a subscriber only platform where you pay to watch someone else do, I don't know, I don't use OnlyFans, but people use OnlyFans and they're just watching other people. I don't actually know what they do on OnlyFans because I don't watch it. And then there's like Pornhub, right? Or Cornhub, whatever, where people are like watching other people have sex, and you have porn stars who are like acting out simulated sex. So all of that is like happening. I feel like this is like 75% of society, right? And then you have 25% of society who's basically just trying to be like moral and pure, and who are just basically like, okay, I'm just in a relationship with like someone, like this is the person I'm in a relationship with. We have sex with each other and like that's it. And then we'll probably get married and then that's it. But see how like all those things are happening at the same time? And then if you kind of look at yourself and your own experiences, and maybe not even yours, but kind of like what you know about society, things start to get real tricky real fast. Because like, here's the thing too, like I have a lot of guy friends, and like I don't really sleep with my guy friends, so I just listen to them tell stories about kind of like the way that they're navigating society now. A lot of guys are going on dates with girls hoping to hook up with them. Like, this is the intent. It's not to get into a relationship with these girls, it is just to hook up with them. And they're actually doing this. So, guys are taking women on dates and then hooking up with the women. I don't think this is like a bad thing. It's just like, you know, so these are like the steps that guys are taking in the society to have sex. But like, this is happening. This is not like made up or some fallacy or anything. Like, this is what is happening. But also some of these same guys are also going to massage parlors and paying for sex, and they're going to East 14th and they're paying for prostitutes, and they're going you see what I mean? Like, there's only one society. So like, these people are going around and they're doing like all the things. And I'm not trying to like be funny or anything, but I think it's kind of required for like everyone to take a step back a little bit and like kind of understand like what their where their own place in the society is, and like how they see themselves. I don't even I don't know, man. I think that we have made sex so taboo that no one wants to talk about it, and therefore everyone's being like pushed into a corner to talk about it, which is also not healthy or useful. And then also there's a lot of people who are single. And so, and I said this before, like, single males are extremely violent because they're not getting laid and they don't have access to any women. And like, especially like broke single males, like, they're not good for society. Like, at all. Like, broke males are not good for society. They're just not. And there's a lot of them out here. And Hmm. I don't even. I don't know what to say. I have no idea what to say. Like, I think that I don't even know what to say. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I think all of it is so complicated, and there's not really. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make sense for everyone to educate themselves about it. I honestly just feel like I've gotten to a place where it, because I feel like I see it from all sides. This was my a really big issue I was having last year. Um, in that in this like in the situationships sort of situation, because all I feel like all I was doing was just like being a placeholder for someone, almost like being like a sex doll or something. And it was like I was being a therapist and a sex doll to someone else in a situationship, which seemed pointless. I mean, don't get me wrong, because I've been in relationships in the past where I've also felt the same thing. I also honestly think that a lot, not even to be funny, I think a lot of relationships right now that people are in, it's the same thing. People are just like using each other to have sex. It's like you're a you're a comfortable companion for sex. You're just a comfortable companion for sex. And that's not like um it's not really like a bad thing. It's just mostly like kind of weird. It's like yeah, it's kind of weird a little bit. I totally clean today. I don't know why I have a whole fly. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I think that sex is just very political right now, and it's political in ways that are very confusing to me. It's so confused. Like I'm legitimately confused. God, yeah, I'm legitimately confused, and I think like I have to like opt out until I start to get like wrap my head around some things for myself, because yeah, I just think it's gotten way beyond the capacity of what I understand and have a capacity to deal with. Like, there's also all the dudes who are like fronting about their jobs and their careers and their apartments and stuff just to get women to like, they're like sharing apartments and trading off, trying to get like tricking women into thinking they have these lives when they don't. And all of it is mad. And I'm just saying, maybe I'm the only person or one of the very few people who sees it from all sides in the way that I do. And I've literally had people like, I don't know how people accuse me of being a sex worker. Like, what? Like, I literally always have a job. I always have like 2 jobs. Like, in what way? How? Like, when? I don't. I don't understand at all. Like, uh, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I like sex, but not. I don't. I couldn't do sex work because it's just it's too political, and honestly, I think it's violent and dangerous. To be honest, like, so I mean, those are reasons why I wouldn't do it. But I do think there's a lot of people who are confusing like hooking up for sex work, and that's weird. Like, that's weird. And I also think there's like too many people who are just like way too yeah, they're too like naive about sex in general. So then they like go around telling stuff like, and I've been saying this, but I'm being so serious, man. Like, in a group of, especially like, people are very like, they're like followers, like they just trot around in little circles around people who are just like them. And don't get me wrong, because like if you go around and you see people in like relationships and stuff, yeah, they're probably, and some, I don't know, some couples are just together, they're actually not having sex at all. That's a thing. There's other people who are like, I don't know, man. Everybody has their own shit going on, to be honest. My point though is that like in a group of dudes, if you see like a group of guys who are like always hanging out with each other, notice that there's like typically no women around them. Like all of these guys probably like don't have girlfriends. And that's like a very common thing nowadays. But it's also like very sad because like these guys don't know, really nobody knows like how to interact with women. And then what I feel like is happening is they're almost like bullying up on women, on, I don't know, I don't even want to call them sex workers, because like maybe some of these guys are actually utilizing sex workers. Maybe they're purchasing prostitutes, like I don't know. But they're not like, uh, it's so complicated. Like it's all so complicated. It is all, it's, oh god, it's so complicated. I don't even